Focus, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's a business growth architect, empowering entrepreneurs to monetize smarter, grow faster, and scale sustainability. No other than Mr. Engels Valenzuela. Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Engels, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. I am honored to be here, looking for this opportunity to be able to share insights for you so that you can monetize, grow, and scale your business. And that's what I'm dedicated to doing. I've learned all the best secrets from Silicon Valley's big tech giants. I worked at Apple, I worked at Amazon, and other companies in Silicon Valley where I mastered and became an expert at launching products. And thereafter, I started working with venture capital, was I was managing a portfolio of startups as the director of commercial strategy. And I essentially picked up all those skill sets so that I could share with everyday entrepreneurs, business owners, so that they could get an edge on their business and be able to grow.
Mr. Engels Valenzuela, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. I want all my podcasts to monetize. Indeed, Mr. Angel. What are the least discussed cultural or operational norms in Silicon Valley that actually drive outlier growth for the things outsiders completely misunderstand?
Yeah, so I will say one of the big things is leverage. And one of the ways to be able to get those leverage is through systems. So before I jump into the answer, let's talk about the typical entrepreneur here in the US. There are about 32 million businesses out there. Of the 32 million, 80% of them, about 28 million, are solopreneurs. And they have a difficult time making that hump to the next level. And the average income for these solopreneurs is $47,000. That's not much, especially with these days with the economy and inflation and all that great stuff. That's not a lot. And one of the commonalities that I've seen across a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners is that they don't have a system in place. And there's systems across the board in terms of having a system for lead generation, having a system for the manufacturing, and just having systems across the board that could do a lot of the work for you on your behalf. So that way you could focus on the bigger thing as an entrepreneur. And I'm happy to discuss or give an example of what that could look like if interested.
Go ahead, Mr. Angels.
So let's talk about lead generation. That's an important topic for so many business owners out there. So the typical business owner, what I've seen them do is go get ads, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Google. They're basically paying for ads and hoping that these ads would generate the leads that they need and then bring them to basically their business. That's all great and good. However, it requires their time. It requires a lot of their money in order to do that. So a system that they could put in place is having a conversion mechanism that regardless of whether they're sleeping, regardless whether they're spending time with the family or just doing personal development, it's something that it will work on its own. An example of that could be an online sales funnel. So in an online sales funnel, traffic will come to this. They get converted through everything that is there in terms of the copy, the messaging, the video. They click on a button, whether they're opting in, whether they're registering or they're making a purchase. And as soon as they're done with that, then the system will upsell them. Then the system, once they're done with the entire funnel, will follow up with them automatically through emails, through text messaging, or what have you. And all of this could be automated. Before, it used to be that you needed an entire team to do this, and entrepreneurs had to do it themselves manually. That's not the case anymore. So with this system, lead generation system, for example, it does the conversion for them and it builds the relationship and the nurturing on their behalf.
Empowering, Mr. Angels. Thank you so much for sharing that information to the world. How
Absolutely.
do successful Silicon Valley founders strategically leverage relationships beyond just who you know, and what's an obvious way to turn a weak connection into a powerful growth catalyst?
Absolutely. So when it comes to first and foremost, I would recommend that entrepreneurs have a strategy in terms of uh, who's the dream customer and what are the pain points that they're trying to solve for their dream customer. Now let's assume that all of that is correct. Everything there, the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. Now, from a collaboration standpoint, it all comes together in terms of that strategy. So depending on where your customer congregates, what channel they're present, then you want to be able to start focusing on collaborations or partnerships that is going to help you get there. So for example, let's say your customer is in Facebook. So if your dream customer is in Facebook and they happen to watch these certain podcasts, then there's a number of different things that you could do from a collaboration standpoint. One, you could be a guest in that podcast. Two, you could ask the podcast or the host if you could put if you could sponsor anything, so where your name will get announced, or you could put some ads in there. So there's collaboration, and the ads that you put could be based on, it could be commission based. So for every person who comes to your landing page or purchase something off of you, you're giving commission. So that way you're not getting money out of pocket. It's something that is being paid on the back end. There's other collaboration types. There could be cross posting. So for example, today I was working with a partner, and we decided that we want to move forward and test out cross posting. So what that means is I'm going to post on that person's platform, and on that person's platform I'm going to share what it is that I offer and what is the pain point that I relieve, and similarly that other person is going to do the same. So what's happening there is the trust, similar to the podcast, the trust that my audience has, I'm passing it to that other person, and the trust that that other person, that partner has, he's also transferring to me. So we're doing cross posting, cross collaboration there, which is the same thing with podcasting. And I would say also, one other idea for your audience would be affiliate marketing. Now, there's affiliate marketing where you have folks who are promoting on your behalf and they make a commission for every sale that you make. There's another way to take that affiliate marketing, and it could be with your own customer. So let's say you're selling a product for $100. I'm making up a number just for the purpose of the conversation. You could do affiliate marketing where you could say to them, for every referral that you provide, I'll give you $50. So if you bring two referrals, that pays the entire ticket or the entire product that you have. So what this does is that it incentivizes your customers who are already on board with you to get more people, and in the process of doing that, they're getting the experience for free because it's being paid for through the referrals. So those are different examples of collaboration. And my suggestion to your audience out there is to think about who are potential partners that could help them with the business in terms of expanding their reach, whether it's their current customers or influencers or big or people who have Facebook groups. Uh, those are all ways in terms of how they could expand leveraging a partnership.
Mr. Angels, what specific strategies do resilient Silicon Valley companies use to navigate the brutal period after initial type fades, but before sustainable economic kick in?
Sorry, could you repeat that question one more time, Daniel?
What specific strategies do resilient Silicon Valley companies use to navigate the brutal period after initial hype fades, but before sustainable economics kick in?
Yeah, so generally speaking, uh, a lot of these companies already have their strategy in place before an economic situation comes up. There are certain situations that is going to be a surprise to everybody. So the pandemic was a situation that was a surprise, and everybody was reacting in terms of what to do. But for a lot of these companies, they have their strategy already in place. So is it So when I'm saying strategy, that strategy is one word that people overuse, but there's so much that goes along with it. It's about positioning. It's about understanding who's your competition. So the one, understanding your dream customer and what is the problem that they have that you could solve. Understanding your competition, benchmarking your competition, and understanding what is the white space that exists. By white space, that means nobody is solving a particular problem for this dream customer. And maybe that's an opportunity for you. And once you have those laid out, there's more to strategy. But for now, once you have those laid out, then there's what is called scenario planning. What if this happened in the economy? What if this something else happened? So, for example, as you're creating strategy, these are called critical factors, and those are what are different factors that could happen in the world that could drastically change the overall environment. So, for example, I have a client, he's in the solar business, and one of the critical factor that we talked about was uh, have customers, his customers having the ability to have credit, because right now for anyone who purchased solar for roofing, they get credit. So one of the critical factors is, what if that goes away? How will they respond to that? So we're getting to those questions ahead of time before they happen, so that if they do happen, a likely possibility in the future, they already have a plan and it's just a matter of execution. So to answer your question in terms of what makes a lot of these companies resilient is their thinking and being able to create strategy and think ahead of what could potentially happen, and then considering what are the best options and what are the biggest risks, and just marrying those two in order to make a better decision.
Think ahead. Wow, what inspiring thought. What's a powerful growth strategy that seems counterproductive or inefficient at a first glance, like deliberately limiting audience or overserving a tiny niche?
I would say definitely over serving a tiny niche. So I'll say this: it depends on where the business is at in their business life cycle. So if we're focused on the 28 million entrepreneurs who are solopreneurs, these people are $47,000. So let's talk about all these businesses that haven't even broken a million or even 3 million, which is going to be the majority of the folks in the United States. The one key strategy or a console that I have for a lot of these businesses is focus on one dream customer, focus on one offer, something that you're selling to your customer, and focus on one channel. So one dream customer, one offer, one channel. And for a lot of these entrepreneurs, it seems counterintuitive because they believe they should have ads. They should also post here. They should go for different platforms because they have this belief that if they're everywhere, then somebody's bound to see them. Now, that makes sense for a big company that has the budget. Companies like Apple and Amazon, they're focused on branding. So, and because they're focused on branding, they want to become omnipresent. But for a business that is still not making $1 million, the biggest value for them is really focusing on getting the highest return. And the highest return on their money is going to be, where is your dream customer? Based on your dream customer, what is the pain point that they have? And based on that pain point, what is the right messaging where I could reach them and hook them to me? So by being very focused and very specialized and focusing on these one channel, one offer, one dream customer, it gives them the focus. And in the process of being focused, they start to refine what is the right messaging, what is the right customer, what is the best way to fulfill this customer. And once they have a process that is stable and is working really well, and now it could run on its own without them, then that's when they're ready to move on to the next point, which is, it could be two offers, or it could be two channels, or it could be two dream customers.
Very well said, Mr. Angels. Very well said. What critical groundwork must be laid before attempting a viral growth loops to ensure it actually converts to sustainable users or revenue?
Daniel, it all comes down to the dream customer. All the clients that I have worked with when I was in venture capital and even after venture capital, no client of mine was very clear on who their dream customer is. And it's not just about the demographics, but it's the psychographics. Is what is driving them to make those decisions? What is the motivation? What is triggering them to make that purchase? Right? So let me give you an example to make this real for your audience. Someone who, let's say a lawyer, an attorney who's a divorce attorney. What is triggering? How could he identify the couple that is about to get divorced? Right? Is
Yes.
maybe having a relationship with counselors who deal with divorce couples, who's trying to keep a marriage going. Right? Is understanding those triggers. Maybe the trigger could be that one of these people are separated first before the divorce, so now they're moving to a whole new place. Right? So it's understanding those triggers and understanding the psychographic of what is the fear that they're experiencing, how will the world look like, and how could you put them at ease. Um, so it's really understanding the more you understand the dream customer, the easier it is to create a product that is going to solve that pain point. The easier it's going to be to create a message that is going to go straight to them. Once you get that clarity on your dream customer, everything else starts to fall in place. And that's the one mistake that a lot of folks have. So let me give you another example, if that's okay. I had a client when I was first talking to them, and I asked them, "Who's your dream customer?" This was somebody who was a financial service. So with that, they provided insurance packages, whole life insurance, and that sort of stuff. And they said, "Everybody is my dream customer." And I said, "Okay, let me give you a car example. A person who's buying a car, there's different types of buyers. Everybody needs a vehicle to get them from point A to point B. However, each car serves different purpose. A mother who's a soccer mom and has kids and she's gonna need a lot of storage in the back of the vehicle. She's gonna want a car that is safe, a car that is reliable, that she doesn't have to take to maintenance all the time, which is gonna be very different from somebody whose status is really important. So they want to buy a Lamborghini, for example, or Tesla, one of those fancy sedan Tesla, right? So
Yes.
they both want a vehicle, but the vehicle represents something very different psychologically speaking for each of the dream customer. So like I said, if you understand your dream customer deeply, everything else falls into place.
Again, very well said, Mr. Angels. Very well said. As a business growth architect and empowering entrepreneurs, what are your short term and long term goals?
Yes, my long-term goal is to start my own venture studio, venture capital firm, because it gives me the opportunity to create a factory of building startups. So rather than building a factory of AirPods, for example, it'll be a factory of startups. And also, it allows me to work with existing businesses and help them grow at a much more faster rate. So that's my long-term plan. In the short term, I am opening up opportunities for entrepreneurs to work with me through mentoring services, to work with me as a fractional CMO. So I offer those services where I come in as their CMO and I basically generate the leads for them, generate the traffic, generate the leads, and convert those leads into actual sales. So I offer all of those, and I want to be able to attract as many entrepreneurs as possible because I believe in the dream of entrepreneurship being the solution to helping people have freedom so that they could spend time with family, so that they could travel and provide shelter and food for the people that is more important in their lives.
Mr. Angels, good luck to your goals and looking forward for more success. What would be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be a business growth architect as well as empowering entrepreneurs all over the world?
Daniel, your book is about books, recommending books so that people could have something to walk away from. If there's one book that I would recommend to anyone in your audience, it's gonna be Sam Walton, Made in America. This book is old. However, it comes packed with so much golden nuggets. I like this book because it's very simple and it's about retail. It's not about the industry that of retail that is important, but it's easy for people to understand so that they could capture this. So Sam Walton was obsessed with customers. He wanted to understand who they were. He went to so many different stores, retail stores, to understand the customer buying behavior. And he went as far as hours away from where he lived before he opened up his first store, and even while he opened up his first set of stores. So he was very obsessed with customer. He benchmarked the competition. And I mentioned earlier that is about positioning is going to be important. Understanding what it is that the competition is not serving to the dream customer. So that's an opportunity for you to do. So I wanna give you like one quick example, if that's okay.
Go
Um,
ahead.
Sam Walton led by value. He wasn't so much focused on the margin, but value was very important. And this is a specific story from his book. He made it very easy for people to say yes. So he started selling ice cream scoop for 5 cents. And at the time, the competition was selling it for 15 cents. So it was at a third of the price of what everybody else was doing. Guess what that was doing? It created a buzz because his dream customer was families. So a lot of parents heard about this and they say 5 cents for ice cream, that's perfect for my kids. And it became such a buzz that it became routine. It became a discipline. People were coming in because there was so much value for this ice cream. But his strategy was lead generation, bringing all this traffic to his store. And once people were at the store, they started buying other products that were more expensive and offset the cost of the 5 cent scoop that really cost them higher. Like sometimes he was losing money on this. And I want to share that specific story because that was one of the strategies that Amazon used and still uses to this day to attract a lot of traffic to his page by discounting a lot of products, but having some other products at a higher price where they're still making revenue. In the digital marketing world, it's the same thing. Having lead magnets, which is something that you're gifting to your audience, you're leading with value, you're giving away value. That is going to attract so much more people. It's going to create the trust and the relationship in you so that people could come to you and now they're ready to make that next purchase with you. So that's just one golden nugget that Sam Walton provided in his book. And there's so many more. So if you were to take what he wrote and just go paragraph by paragraph and ask yourself the question, how could I apply this to my business? Which is the same thing Jeff Bezos did with Amazon. And look where Bezos is at, right? Amazon is a big company, and Sam Walton's book was a big reason for that.
Well, thank you for your recommendation. Recommended book, Mr. Angels, and hoping our listeners will read it and they will be empowered. How do the most successful Silicon Valley founders navigate the inherent tension between hyper growth ambitions and building a ethical, sustainable company culture?
That's a really good one. In general, Daniel, the way it works is that the company's culture is based on the leadership, based on the founders. They're the ones who create the values and put those values in place. And for a lot of these founders, generally speaking, in Silicon Valley and even tech startups, they tend to be very, very ambitious. And because they're ambitious, there's a lot of there's a result oriented and merit based and a culture that gets created. So in my experience, having worked at Amazon, I worked long hours, but I had a lot of responsibility, and it was good responsibility where I was creating a lot of impact. So I was measured based on my results. That was the same thing at Apple, where I was measured based on my results. So you have a lot of people who are hungry, who are ambitious, and they want to create history. So by having that type of culture that is based on people who want to create history, they want to create impact, they're very ambitious, then it starts to create this culture of people really being so focused and wanting to have those high returns come back to them.
Mr. Angels, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and of course, my book 101 review in fifth season
Absolutely.
too. Comedy 101 in second season, and food 101 in its fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast, Law 101 and Mental Health 101, Love Letters in fourth season, as well as my movie 101 review and music 101, science 101 and sex 101 in first season. And please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. Mr. Angels, based on emerging Silicon Valley patterns, what will be the next wave of under the radar growth strategies most founders are not even considering yet?
Information marketing. So let me expand on that. So
Yes, go ahead.
like I mentioned before, I was in venture capital. It was focused on SaaS companies. So that was a startup, or the series of startups or portfolio. It doesn't matter if it's SaaS. It doesn't matter whether it's retail or some of the clients that I have right now that they're selling actual physical products. Providing value in terms of information is a big deal these days. So if you attach your information to your actual product, it's going to increase the value of that. So for example, I was working with a SaaS startup that was focused on recruiting for the construction industry. They were very focused on creating a tool that does the automation of hiring for these construction companies, which is great. My recommendation to them was they're already interviewing so many different founders and so many CEOs in the construction business to understand what are the biggest pain points, what are the biggest problems, what are the biggest desires. That by itself, just using that as an example, they could use as information to be able to create a program that says the top 10 mistakes in hiring in the construction business. And if this is free as in anybody who purchased the SaaS program, and it automatically comes with that, then these owners or this human resource folks who are hiring, they're going to get a lot of value from this book. And that's just one example, right? There's a lot of research that the SaaS company was doing in order to provide more value to their customers, which was construction owners. So that's an example of where you could take information that is valuable to your dream customer and make that as part of the solution. And you don't have to change the price. You could keep the price as is, but the value of it increases because of that. So if your audience is able to take their expertise and leverage that expertise to make it into a product, a digital product, then they're going to create a lot of value off of that, which is going to make it more irresistible, and they're going to get more people buying from them.
Mr. Engels Valenzuela, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, and hoping for more and more and more empowering emerging business to come. So can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy as well as your business itself?
Absolutely. I currently am offering a free masterclass. It's called generatingleadsonline.com. Generatingleadsonline.com. And it's a masterclass where people could come in and they're going to be able to create a lead magnet, an offer, irresistible offer. Think of the 5 cents ice cream cone in the example that I brought up with Sam Walton. They're going to be able to create a system, a tool that is going to do the conversion on their behalf, regardless of what they're doing, and create email sequences and follow-up sequences. So that way it automatically builds the relationship on their behalf so that they're generating leads, and now they could upsell those leads into their actual products and make sales.
Mr. Engel Valenzuela, again, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And people, let's support Mr. Angels, because if you support him, more and more and more empowering business to come. So, Mr. Angels, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for the invitation. It's been an honor.
Bodycon people, see you soon. You're most welcome.